A wave of comedians' copyright cases with the potential to seriously boost streaming royalties gained more clout recently when George Lopez put his name on the list of those who are seeking compensation from Pandora.
Yeah, so joining us on the KOGO News Live line is the patent professor, John Rizvi. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
So the comedians are claiming that they've been underpaid or stiffed altogether for performances already streamed thousands of times on Pandora. So the question is, how is Pandora getting away with this so far?
So, their argument kind of is a strange argument. It's like, hey, they've never asked for royalties before, and therefore it should be considered waived. Well, it just doesn't make any sense to me. As a copyright lawyer, there's two different sets of rights that artists have. Let's take singers, for example. And using the example of Dolly Parton and the song "I Will Always Love You," she didn't have rights. She gave away rights to the sound recording in the music industry. That's usually owned by the record label. But the actual words, the lyrics, she retained. And that's why Whitney Houston was able to sing that. She licensed it to Whitney Houston, and Dolly Parton made over $10 million from Whitney Houston's version of that song. So there's two completely different rights. One is the audio of going back to comedians. It's the actual their performance of the joke, and then the other part is the joke itself. It's a separate copyright, and the comedians are claiming that for years they've never been compensated for the joke themselves. The performance, yes. But there's a separate copyright for the underlying joke, and they've never been compensated for that.
So would this essentially be like, I'm guessing, if this works out in the comedian's favor, every time the material was played, they needed to pay the comedians for both the audio and the written word, essentially.
Correct. And the audio, they've sold rights to the recording. So their complaint isn't about the performance itself, but the underlying separate copyright for the words, for the joke itself. They've never been compensated for that. Pandora's main, I think, defense so far is, well, you've waived rights to that because for years and years and years we've been doing this, and you've never sought payment for this before. And there's a lot of reasons for that. First of all, so Pandora's also said that our playing your comedy routines helps you because it brings live traffic to your live comedy shows.
Oh, would you like a little exposure, that sort of thing?
Exactly. We're giving you free exposure, and that's part of your compensation for the jokes. But that should apply. Why does that not apply to to singers, to Dolly Parton, to Whitney Houston, for anybody? Why are they getting separate compensation for their separate copyright of the lyrics? Doesn't. It's clearly a different standard for comedians and their work versus singers.
Well, we'll follow this closely. Patent Professor John Rizvi joining us. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
All right.